Okay, this is for Algebra 2, and we're talking about factoring. This is a new topic. Today is day 1 of factoring. Roots are considered factors. They're also considered solutions. Okay, a root is a factor. It is a solution. It is sometimes called a zero. It is actually an answer. Most quadratics are going to have 2 roots. So to factor a quadratic function, if it has 2 terms, you see what you can pull out. And what you can pull out is anything that it has in common. Numbers that they will both divide by, letters that show up in both terms. If it has 4 terms, you're going to have to start by splitting it in half and then see what you can pull out from each half. Then you make 2 sets of parentheses. One is what you pulled out each time. The other is what was left over each time. It'll make more sense when you see one. If you're given the roots and you have to write an equation, you're just doing the same thing, but it's backwards. You make 2 sets of parentheses, x minus a number, in each using your roots. Then you would distribute, multiply, and you would have an equation. So let's look at an example. 6x squared minus x has 2 terms. So we look and see, what do they have in common? What could I pull out? Well, they both have an x in them, so I'm going to pull out an x. So I write my x and then I open parentheses. Inside the parentheses is going to be what was left. So the 6 stays. I had an x squared, but I took one of them out, and so that squared becomes x to the first. So x minus, I had an x, but I pulled it out, so it's gone. So you think of this as being empty, but you can't leave it empty. You got to have a placeholder, and so you're going to put a 1. If you had 4x squared, that's your answer, by the way. 4x squared minus 2x, look at your number first. 4 and 2 will both divide by 2. Look at your letters, they both have an x. So we're going to pull out a 2x. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared, you pull an x out and you have x left. Minus, because they said minus. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X, you pull it out, it's gone. So all of that cancels and you put 1 there as a placeholder. 6a to the third plus 15a, 6 and 15 will both divide by 3. Both terms have an a, so I'm going to pull out a 3a. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now this is a little different. A to the third, when you pull an a out, you're basically saying 3 minus 1, and so you're left with a squared. Plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. There's an a, you pull it out, it's gone. 32b squared plus 12b, 32 and 12 will both divide by 4, and they both have a b. 32 divided by 4 is 8. B squared, take a b out and you have b left. Plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. The b comes out, you're done. So now we're going to, even though it has 3 terms, we still want to look and see, do they have anything in common? 3, 9, and 12 all divide by 3, and they all have a y. So we're going to pull a 3 and a y out. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so it's gone. That x squared, we're not pulling any x's out, so it stays x squared. There's a y, but we're pulling it out. Minus 9 divided by 3 is 3. The x stays, the y came out. Plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. The y comes out. So that's your answer. 12 and 16 will both divide by 4. They both have an a. Notice we have a to the 5th and a to the 4th. Use the smallest exponent. So we're going to pull out a to the 4th. They both have a b. 12 divided by 4 is 3. A to the 5th, but I'm taking 4 of them out, so it leaves me a. B squared, but I'm taking 1 out, so it leaves me b. Plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. A to the 4th, I'm pulling them all out. B, I'm pulling it out. There's your answer. 9 and 18 will both divide by 9, and that's all they have in common. So 9 divided by 9 is 1, it's gone, but that leaves me an x squared, plus 18 divided by 9 is 2, and your y to the 4th has to stay. Okay, so now we have 4 terms. So you split it in half, and 6x, that should be a squared, minus 3x. They both divide by 3, they both have an x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X squared, take an x out, leaves you x. minus 3 divided by 3 is 1. The x comes out, so you put your 1 there as a placeholder. There's a plus, and so I put a plus. 4 and 2 will both divide by 2, so I'm pulling a 2 out, and it leaves me 2x minus 1. Okay, notice that the two sets of parentheses are the same. That's a good thing. If they're not, we have a problem. That is part of your answer, 2x minus 1. Then you take what you pulled out each time and turn that into the other set of parentheses. So open, and it becomes 3x plus 2. That's your answer. So looking at the next one, we're going to start by cutting it in half. These both have an x, and that leaves me 2x plus 1. There's a minus here, so I'm going to put a minus. These have a 3 in common, so I'm going to pull out a 3. Now, you're going to change both of your signs since that was a minus. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. We still have an x. This was a minus. It's now a plus. 3 divided by 3 is 1. These are the same. That's a good thing. So 2x plus 1. And then take what we pulled out, your x and your minus 3, and that becomes your other set of parentheses. All right, we're going to cut this in half. This is actually 2x to the third. 2 and 3 have nothing in common. X to the third and x squared. You're going to pull out an x squared. Leaves you 2x minus 3. There's a minus. 8 and 12 will both divide by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Keep your x. Since this was a minus, we got to change this sign, and it becomes a minus. 12 divided by 4 is 3. These are the same. That's a good thing. 2x minus 3. And then x squared minus 4 will be your other set of parentheses. Going to the back. You're going to cut it in half. They both divide by 3. They both have an x squared. So this leaves you x minus 1 plus, they both divide by 4, leaves you x minus 1. So x minus 1 and 3x squared plus 4 will be your answer. Cut it in half. They both divide by 5. They both have an x squared. Leaves you x plus 2 minus, they both divide by 5. Leaves you x, and remember you got to change your sign, so plus 2. So x plus 2 and 5x squared minus 5. Now what I would like for you to notice is that 5x squared minus 5, they both have a 5 in common. So what I would really like to see is a 5, and then your x plus 2, and then when you pull a 5 out of these, it leaves you x squared minus 1. Okay? That's what I would really like to see, but if you got to here, I would be happy. All right, split it in half. First two both have a 4 and an x squared, so that leaves you x plus 2. Minus, they both divide by 9, leaves you x plus 2. So you have 4x squared minus 9, and you have x plus 2. Notice I wrote them in a different order from what I've been doing. It does not matter which order. Okay, you can write either one of your sets of parentheses first. Cut it in half. They both divide by 6. They both have a u. Leaves you u minus 2. Plus, they both divide by 6. They both have a v. Leaves you u minus 2. So u minus 2 and 6u plus 6v. Once again, these two both have a 6, so I'm going to pull that 6 out, bring down my u minus 2, and when I pull the 6 out, I'm left with u plus v. Split it in half. They have absolutely nothing in common. So I would put like a 1 and then x squared minus 2u. Plus, they both have a 4 and a z, and that leaves you x minus 2. And it didn't work, right? So you're just going to have to go back and tell me that this was prime. There was nothing that you could do for this. You could possibly rearrange it, but I'm not going to make you worry about that. Split it in half. They both divide by 5. They both have x squared. Leaves me x minus 3. Minus, they both divide by 4. They both have an a and an x. Leaves me x, change your sign because that was a minus 3. So we have x minus 3 and we have 5x squared minus 4ax. Okay, so now write an expression if the roots are 3 and negative 4. You're always going to say x, and you're going to have two sets of parentheses. They both start with x, and you use the opposite sign. This is a positive 3, so I say minus 3. This is a negative 4, so I say plus 4. Then you just distribute, so you take your x times both of them, and that gives you x squared plus 4x. Take your negative 3 times both, that gives you minus 3x minus 12. 2 in the middle should combine. X squared plus x minus 12 is your answer. So if you had had 2 and negative 3, it would have been x minus 2 and x plus 3, because you use the opposite signs. X squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. Combine the 2 in the middle, x squared plus x minus 6. It won't always be x for that middle term. Okay, it's just going to be whatever it is when you combine things. Okay, so I believe that's the end of the notes. You're ready for your assignment. Call me over if you have any questions.